Hi, I'm Midge Shoemaker, and today is day 72 of my doing 100 days of YouTube videos and focusing on doing at least 2 things every day I don't want to do, but I know would be good for me. So yay for day 72 and yay for only 28 days to go. Woohoo! 28 days, 4 weeks. I can do this. I can do this. I'm so ready to be done with these. Probably why I haven't done any for like 10 days, but anyway. I am trying to get them done. So day 72 was not really things that I wanted to do or wanted to deal with today. I've been noticing some swelling in my leg, especially my right leg, and I was pretty sure it was my blood pressure medication, so I stopped taking it. I didn't take it this morning, and my leg wasn't as swollen this morning. Like, the swelling went down. It goes down at night, every night, and then it kind of picks up during the day, so it wasn't as swollen this morning at work, and I was like, yes. But I took my blood pressure medication to work with me, so I had it with me. I just hadn't physically taken it, and then I really didn't want to take it at lunchtime, but I just felt very strongly that God wanted me to take my medication at lunchtime, and I was like, not fair. I don't want to take this stupid medication. But I think God was just trying to teach me to learn to not only trust him, but to trust the doctors and the people that I work with. And so I took my blood pressure medication on my lunch break, and I had my appointment with my doctor at the end of my day for work. And honestly, within the 3-4 hours since lunch, it's probably like 3.5 hours maybe, I don't know, that my leg literally was all swollen. And then my left leg started to swell, and not just my right leg, but then my left leg. And I was like, great. So now both my legs and my feet are swelling. I'm like, this is not nice. So I did mention that to my doctor. And so he actually did say, and he did look at it, he did poke them a little bit, but because I have a history of DVTs, which is deep vein thrombosis, or basically blood clots. So I'm just going to go with blood clots because that makes more sense. But because I have a history of that, even though it was from an injury, I still have a history of that. So he did want to check, because I guess normally the medication would make both of your legs swell evenly, and mine weren't swollen evenly. I'm like, great. So one is swelling more than the other. I don't know why, but the other one's starting to swell, and I don't want them to be swollen evenly. I just don't want them to be swollen at all. So, but he did push on both of them a little bit, and then he decided he wanted me to get an ultrasound. And of course he put stat ultrasound, because, if it's blood clots, then obviously we need to take some action to make sure that they don't break free and cause problems, because, if a blood clot breaks free, it can get into the lungs or into the heart, and it can cause problems, and it can even cause death if it's not, resolved or dissolved. So they usually put you on blood thinners to dissolve them, and I did that before, and I hated the blood thinners. I did it for like 4.5 months, and I was like, this stuff is killing me. So happy to be off of that stuff. Never want to have to take it again. Ever, ever, ever. So I'm just like, nope, not doing that. So anyway, so he did say that it could be a blood clot, or it could be the medication. So he did change my medication, so I no longer have to take that medication, which makes me so happy, because I already figured out, for me, it's the medication. But it was nice to have that confirmed by the doctor, that he was like, this is actually a side effect of the medication, the blood pressure medication that I am taking. So it's not just me making up my own mind and making decisions for myself, but I think it's also that, okay, so I can trust myself. I do know my body. I do know what I'm reacting to. So this is good for me to recognize. Plus, it did give me the opportunity to trust the doctor, to let him see, to actually let him see what was going on, because by stopping it myself and just telling him, he doesn't actually get to see the symptoms. He doesn't get to see what's going on. And then it's just kind of like my word against his, and he might agree with me, or he might be like, you still need to take it. So this way, in taking it, even though I didn't want to today, he actually saw it, but then it meant that I had to go get a stat ultrasound, which I did not want to do. And of course, he told me to do it tomorrow morning, and I was like, great, I'm supposed to be to work at 7 o'clock in the morning, and there's not going to be a place open at 7 o'clock in the morning for me to get an ultrasound. And of course, he wants the results before the weekend, so I can't do it after work, which is what I was thinking I would do, because I got a half day on a Friday. I'll go do it after work. And of course, I didn't want to spend the money to do it, but I did want the peace of mind of knowing that I don't have blood clots, because that's kind of been one of my paranoias since I had them. 2 years ago, and I don't want to repeat that. So I'm just kind of like, that's going to follow my medical record for the rest of my life, which is not fun. So anytime I get some kind of swelling or bruising or something like that, it's going to, the doctors are going to look at it and they go, oh, let's check to make sure it's not a blood clot. So thankfully, it was not a blood clot. But anyway, so I had to go check out. I had to check myself out, which I was doing. And I was missing a whole bunch of stuff because I was stressing about the fact that I'm like, okay, I'm supposed to stay late today to make up for the appointment that I'm having at work. And instead I'm having to shut down. I'm having to call to do a stat order for myself. And one of my coworkers offered to do it for me. And I was like, okay, that's fine, but I got to do a stat order on myself. And she's like, oh, and I was like, I need to do this. She's like, okay, go check with the supervisor. I'm like, yeah, I know. I got to go see the supervisor. So I told the supervisor, and she told me a company I could call to see if they had anybody still available today that I could get in to do it. So not really wanting to call and do all of that, because that's a lot of work. And two, it means I'm leaving work early. So it was a lot, and I kind of got a little bit overwhelmed and stressed out, and then I just ran out of there because we got someone here, and I'm putting together a whole order. I'm like, wait, it's just an ultrasound. I can just print out the order. I don't have to do all the paperwork with it. I was doing all the paperwork. I was like, oh, I don't need to do all this stuff. Never mind. But I did take the paperwork with me just because I had the address of where I was going on it, and I needed to know where I was going, and I left. And thankfully, they were still there, and I guess they're there until 5 or 6 on weekdays or whatever. So I'm like, that's fantastic, because it was, it was 4:30 when I showed up there. So they did the ultrasound, and there was some issue. The person that was doing it, she wasn't able to check something. And so, not that she's new to doing ultrasounds, because we did have a conversation while I was in there, but she was new to working at that company, so the machines or things work differently. So she just went and got her supervisor just to double check to make sure everything was okay. And then of course I'm panicking and thinking the worst. And I'm like, no, there's gonna be a blood clot. This is so bad. And because I work at the doctor's office, the ultrasound techs aren't supposed to tell you if everything's okay or not, but they told me that everything was okay. So I just felt so very, very grateful, very blessed that I called them. I went, it was cash pay, which I did not want to have to pay. I mean, obviously I don't have insurance, so I had to pay, but I was like, it's $150. And I'm like, I don't want to spend $150. I've got so many other things that I could do planning for $150, but I had to do a stat ultrasound for the doctor. And so of course, basically what they told me is that the blood flow and everything looked fine. They didn't see anything, but they were still going to send it to the radiologist or whoever does the official reading. And then they would send the official report to the doctor, and then he would tell me officially tomorrow that everything's okay. But I was so relieved to be like, okay, this really is just that reassurance that I needed, that it was just the medication I was taking, and now I get to try a different medication. And so we're just relieved. And so yay. And I also got to tell the doctor that the ADHD medication I'm taking, which is the generic for Concerta or methylphenidate, whatever, it's the not extended release, it's just the regular stuff. But I mean, it was helping. I just wanted to kind of, increase it a little bit. And I was kind of hoping to go from 10 to 15, and he went from 10 to 20. So I'm like, well, we'll see how 20 works out, because that's a bit of a jump for me, because 10 was helping. It was okay. But I just wanted a little bit more. So we'll see how 20 works out. But basically, he said I was good with that, so I can see him in 3 months instead of every month. So as long as there's no issues, I can just send him a message at the end of the month and be like, okay, this is working out great. And then he'll just send me the refills. And he said the same thing with the blood pressure medication. So I will have to figure that out with the new stuff and see how that works. And then I can send him a message and let him know one way or the other if it's working or not. So as long as it's not making my feet and my ankles swell up, that would be really nice. So anyway, but like I said, I didn't want to take my medication, and I kind of did that little testing thing on my own, because I am kind of stubborn and thinking I know what all the answers are, and forgetting that there are doctors there for a reason, and they've gone to school and have all of that training. And so I think God was trying to teach me that, but also showing me that, confirming what I thought was actually true, but also confirming that I have doctors that know these things, and that seeing the symptoms and the signs were able to say the exact same thing. So I found out for certain that I don't have blood clots, because I was actually concerned about that as well, because I know that's a possibility. So I was really hoping that wasn't the situation or the case. But again, that's like I said, it happened 2 years ago. So it's kind of every time something goes crazy with my legs, I kind of worry that might be. So I feel very blessed and very grateful that I listened, and I did take the medication at lunch so I could see the difference. So I just kind of, it gave me that boost of confidence in talking to the doctor, and I didn't even have to like press the issue or even tell him that I thought it was the medication. He knew all on his own, which was fantastic, but he also wanted to just rule out the blood clots just to be certain. And because I already work at the doctor's office, they were nice enough to tell me the information, so I didn't have to like spend all night wondering if I had blood clots or not. So it worked out amazingly today because I was willing to do those things. So not really what I wanted to do for today by any means. I did not want to have to leave work early. I did not want to have to go get an ultrasound and spend $150 on it. And I did not want to have to take that blood pressure medication that's making my legs swell up. But I did get answers, and I did get new medication, and we'll just see what happens from there. So I am grateful that it all just kind of worked out. So that was my crazy day today. So that's all I have for today. If you like these videos, you can hit like, subscribe, share with someone else if you think they'll like it too. And I just remembered something else, but I'm like, yeah. So it's just about my book because I just randomly want to talk about it. But my publisher sent me something back because I sent her some comments, and she told me that if I wanted to get my book in the bookstore for the writing conference that we have, that ANIMA has, American Night Writers Association, that's the writing group that I'm in. They have a writing conference in September. It's an annual conference. They used to do it in February, and then they switched it to September. I like it in February better, but September works. So anyway, it's in September, and so I was asking about putting my book in the bookstore if it's going to be published in August. So she did tell me that it will tentatively be published in August. So I just read the email about that. So I'm like, yay, tentatively get my book published the middle of August. So that'll be nice. But if I want to put it in the bookstore, I just have to tell her how many books that I want to order, and she will order them, and then I can, whatever I make off of the books at the bookstore, I get to keep that money because she'll already take her cut out of whatever profits from printing them or ordering them or whatever, I don't know. But she also mentioned that I might want to get some bookmarks, and she'd be happy to help me do bookmarks. And she also mentioned that there's some other places and things that I can do around the city and at libraries and things like that where I can sell my books. So I can just order more books to do book signings at different places or different venues. But again, I'd have to pay for that up front. And also, depending on the location or the place, I might have to get certain licenses and other things to do. And honestly, I got to say, reading that email just kind of seriously overwhelmed me with all of the marketing side of my book, which I hadn't really put a whole lot of thought into. And I just thought it would be cool to put my book at their bookstore for the writing group. I just didn't realize that it was going to be that much work. So, and I don't know how much that's going to cost. I don't know how I'm going to pay for all of that, especially when I just had to pay $150 for an ultrasound on my leg, and I'm still trying to figure out how to pay for the crown on my tooth. So it's kind of like all the extra money that I thought I had or was going to have is just disappearing. So I don't know how I'm going to pay for any of these other things that are up and coming. So just a lot of financially overwhelmed, maybe a little bit emotionally and mentally overwhelmed with the process and the concept, but also really excited about it. Like, okay, this is moving forward, and these are all things that I can do, and this is amazing, and this is really cool. I have no idea how it's going to work out. I have no idea how I'm going to do it. And that's probably what's making me just shut down, because it's just a lot to take in today. So really pretty much just came home from my ultrasound, happy that was over, read the email, and I was like, and I'm done, because it's just too much today. So anyway, that is all. I just wanted to share that. That has nothing to do with my not doing things I didn't want to do today. That was just kind of a side thing for my book. Excited about it. Not sure how I'm going to do all of that stuff in the future, but hopefully it will get done regardless. So that is all that I have for today. If you like these videos, you can hit like, subscribe, share with someone else if you think they'll like it too. And I hope you have a great day full of gratitude, and maybe find one or two things to do today that you don't want to do, but you know would be good for you.